Good evening, and welcome to the 63rd Annual Meeting of the West Pasadena Residents Association, the WPRA. We are very glad you're here. I'm Blaine Kavanaugh, Treasurer of the WPRA, and I'll be your host for the first portion of tonight's meeting. Two important notes: restrooms are in the back corner over there, and should there be some sort of emergency, you can exit out of the entrance you came in or the entrance on this side. This evening we'll have some guest remarks, a little bit of WPRA business, and hear from our WPRA president before we present our main program, Protecting Life and Liberty from Wildfires. We hope you will stay until the end of the meeting around 8:30, when common questions will be addressed by tonight's speakers. But first, let's officially open the meeting with Scout Troop 131 presenting the colors, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand?
Attention, color guard advance. Color guard halt. Color guard present arms. Post the colors. Honor your colors.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard reform. Color guard return. Color guard halt. Color guard dismissed.
Please be seated. That was Scout Troop 131. We have a number of guests this evening, including Mayor Victor Gordo, our own council member Steve Madison, our PUSD school board member Yarma Velazquez. We also have Darla Dyson representing State Senator Sasha Perez, Justin Chapman, Steve Madison's field representative, Miles Keeling, representing Assemblyman John Harabedian, and Pasadena Fire Department Deputy Chief Tim Sell. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. Speaking to us later this evening, we have a special guest, the Deputy Insurance Commissioner for the California Department of Insurance, Julio Juarez. Our panel will also include the Executive Director of the California Wildfire Mitigation Program Authority, Jay Lopez, the CEO of Allied Restoration Services, O.P. Almarez, the Regional Coordinator of Firewise California, Beth Burnham, and the Executive Director of the One Arroyo Foundation, Daniel Rossman. Thank you all for being here, and let's welcome them. We will hear from some of our guests in just a moment, but first we should thank the people who contributed to this meeting, starting with Maranatha School for allowing us to once again use their facility, to Pasadena Media for recording this event and making it available to the world, to WPRA editor and exhibit coordinator Chuck Hudson, Thanks also to the many exhibitors here tonight you were able to meet with before the meeting, and thanks to the several WPRA board members who have worked to make this evening informative and enjoyable, especially Carlos Javalera, Lee Wallace, Lynn Sullivan, Joan Hurst, Susan Kinney, and Pete Ewing. But we'd especially like to thank all of you for supporting the WPRA, for caring about our community, and being here. Thank you. Before we move on to WPRA business, we'd like to hear from a few of our guests, starting with our own mayor, Victor Gordo. Victor?
Thank you, Blaine. Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening now. Let me first say that it's an honor and a privilege to stand here as your mayor of Pasadena, and so thank you for that honor and privilege. I just want to give a brief rundown on the status in our city, starting with the budget. We just adopted a balanced budget. We'll take the final action hopefully next week, but we do have a balanced budget in the city. The budget's about $1.4 billion in total, but that includes the utility, that includes all city operations, including the Rose Bowl, the Pasadena Center Operating Company. Our general fund, which is the fund that we use to pay for public services like police, fire, tree trimming, those are the dollars where we really have discretion. Most of the remainder of the dollars are categorical dollars that come with strings attached that we have to spend in a certain way. But our general fund budget has grown to $362 million. Just to give you an idea, when I ran for mayor, our general fund budget in 2019 was about $267 million. And so we went into COVID with a general fund of about $260 odd million. And I always tell people that our local economy in our city weathered COVID much better than other communities did from an economic point of view. And coming out of COVID, our revenues have continued to increase. Our reserve is back above pre-COVID levels. We prioritized, not many cities did, a lot of municipalities and counties. Thank you. A lot of municipalities and counties took those one-time COVID dollars and spent them on one-time expenditures, or even worse, created ongoing expenditures with one-time dollars. And now you see other municipalities throughout our region, particularly some of the larger ones, really struggling financially because of those decisions. We made the choice to take those one-time COVID reimbursement dollars and replenish our reserve, and we've continued to replenish our reserve. And so I'm happy to report that while we spent about between $36 and $40 million of our reserves just on COVID expenditures, we have replenished the reserve above and beyond pre-COVID levels. I wanted to also announce that our city manager, Miguel Marquez, unfortunately couldn't be here today because he's got his executive leadership team retreat this evening, and so he wanted me to mention that his team is busy plotting out the next year's work plan, and so he couldn't be here today. You know, the subject that's on all of our minds, of course, is, well, before I get to that, let me just say, on the 710, we continue to do the work. I think you'll see things speed up a little bit more. I'll let staff talk about that. But the 710 continues to be a priority. You know, I think we were set back a little bit at the beginning of this year because of the fire. And finally, FIFA. Many of you will see the Club World Cups games that are coming to the Rose Bowl later this month. And I encourage all of you to attend those events. It's the Club World Cups. And, it's part of what makes our city exciting. And it's part of why we invested and will continue to invest in the Rose Bowl, because it's not just an iconic piece of art and beautiful stadium, but it keeps our local economy moving. It draws lots of attention from throughout the world, and this will just be another example of that. Now, the fire, I got to tell you, I thought I had my crisis behind me with COVID, and then the fire struck, and it really a time like no other. Chief Sell, who is here with us today, Deputy Chief Sell, and his team, all of the city team, we should give a round of applause. I think he and I are still suffering from a little PTSD. We were talking before the meeting how we basically became roommates at the Emergency Operations Center down at the Rose Bowl. We were there every day, and I just got to tell you, it was impressive to watch our team lead the way together with the county, together with the state, and together with the National Guard. And again, I think our response to the fire here locally in Pasadena was a tremendous response. One of the things that coming out of the fire that I'd like to see us do is increase staffing at the fire department. I think it's been since 1976 that we've not increased staffing for our Pasadena Fire Department. Since 1976, I can assure you, because I was here living in the city, that this is a very different city. It's a much more complicated city in terms of different uses. We attract worldwide events and people from all over the world. We have bustling business districts in the Playhouse, in the South Lake, in Old Pasadena, on East Washington, and we've got to increase staffing and equipment in our Pasadena Fire Department. And I think we also have to invest in equipment, particularly coming out of this fire. We've just got to invest in more and better equipment. And we've got to do year-round brush removal. We can't wait until the brush is overgrown, and so I've asked the city manager and my colleagues on the city council to look at funding a team of brush removal employees and staff that would just do trail restoration, brush removal, particularly in the Arroyo, year-round, because we all know that that fire could have easily shifted into the Arroyo, and that would have been disastrous for our city, for the residents of our city. So the final thing that I'd like to address related to the fire is the impact to our business community. A lot of people have said to me, well, we were fortunate that our businesses weren't impacted, our business community. But as I move around town and I talk to different business owners, it's the exact opposite. They're saying to me, a large part of our clientele is now gone. One of my favorite sushi restaurant, Mama Sushi, by the way, it's my son and I go there all the time on Holly Street. They tell me 30% of their clientele was from Altadena, and they've taken a huge, huge hit. And their rent hasn't gone down, their costs have gone up, and they've lost 30% of their business. And I hear that more and more from every sector of our business community. And so I would encourage us all to shop local more than ever, and dine and be entertained local, to support particularly these small businesses who are having a hard time post-fire, making a go of it. And so I leave that with you, and I ask you to share that with your family and friends, because we need to keep our local businesses thriving, because it's a big part of our local economy and why Pasadena thrives so much. So with that, again, it really is an honor and a privilege to serve as your mayor, and I thank you for that honor and privilege.
Thank you, Victor. And now our own councilman, Steve Madison, will bring us up to date. Steve?
Thank you very much. It's great to be here and incredible turnout for WPRA, a wonderful organization. I say every year how important the work WPRA does, and I want to echo that again this year. And thank the outgoing board members, welcome the incoming board members and officers. All of these incredible presenters are such a testament to the civic involvement that we have here in Pasadena. I think I've said before that we have 96 neighborhood associations throughout the city. There's no question that WPRA is the granddaddy of them all. And we may not always look like it, but when WPRA talks at City Council, the council hears you, believe me. So it's great to be here. I would say quickly, because I know you've got a busy agenda, appreciate the mayor's remarks very much, agree with every sentiment that he expressed, and together I know we can convince our colleagues to put more resources into public safety, fire, and I would add police to that. Our police department is down some 20 officers from where they were 30 years ago, and as the mayor described, public safety and policing has not become less complex or less challenging during that time. It's become more so. So I want to see us get back to full staffing for the police department. I agree with the fire department. We need not just personnel, but also capital investment. I think the fires of January showed us that we have tremendous resources in the Pasadena in terms of our people, and places like the Rose Bowl, where we could overnight turn that into a command center for 4,000 first responders. I'd like to see us move in the direction of having a permanent fire department headquarters and training center in Pasadena, and potentially the Rose Bowl being the location for the headquarters of the fire department. As we look at the work that we're doing at City Hall and in the city, in the community, the issues that are salient for West Pasadena are the salient issues for the entire city. So it's no surprise that time and time again, WPRA takes the lead on issues not just of neighborhood importance for West Pasadena, our wonderful neighborhoods, but really the entire city. It strikes me over and over again how when we have commission openings or task force appointments and the like, the majority often of the applications come from our district, from West Pasadena, from District 6. And time again, you see persons, many of whom are in the room. There's so many old friends and colleagues here who assume leadership positions in these very important bodies that really represent the entire city. And I'm deeply grateful for that. Quickly, I will touch on just a couple of the issues. The mayor mentioned the fires as is appropriate. I was struck by how on January 1, the world's attention was on Pasadena, as it is every New Year's. And coincidentally or not, this year the theme of the parade, which as you know is chosen each year by the president of the T of R, it's a different theme each year. This year the theme of the parade was the best day ever. And it really was, right? The parade, the game, maybe not if you're an Oregon Duck fan, but the silver lining being that they lost to the national champions, Ohio State. But the day was perfect with the parade celebrating, much of what's great about America. Sports, education, the arts, music, civic involvement, veterans, the military, animals, all the things that we love against this backdrop of hope and renewal that the new year brings each year. And then just 6 days later, it was literally the worst day ever. and the attention of the world turned back to Pasadena. And I couldn't agree more with Mayor Gordo that our city responded as a champion. I mean, the names of the teams were still painted on the field at the Rose Bowl when we turned it into a command center to host 4,000 first responders. And by host, I mean not just for meetings at the Emergency Operations Center, but they were actually bivouacked down there, as you know. We had food and facilities for them and tents and everything that they needed to be able to go out on rotating 12-hour shifts and beat those fires back. In 90 minutes, the city turned the convention center into an evacuation shelter, where up to 1,000 evacuees were there. Even as recently as just a few weeks ago, there were over 100 evacuees still at our convention center. And we were able to do that because we've invested in the last decade or two. We've reinvested in the Rose Bowl. We've reinvested in the convention center and the Civic Auditorium. We've reinvested in City Hall. And now, thanks to your largesse, frankly, and community mindedness, we'll be doing the same thing for the Central Library. So this renaissance in Pasadena that I've been talking about for years now is really coming to its final stage and its final fruition, where with the Bennett Plan, we'll have a new Central Library, retrofitted and rehabilitated Civic and Convention Center, City Hall. We're working on the YWCA. I promise you we're going to get that done too. And so for the next 100 years, Pasadenans and really the entire world will enjoy this incredible city that we have. On the 710, we really need to get going. And I know that the mayor's committed to this. I am really committed to it. This August, we will celebrate the 3rd anniversary of the city's ownership in fee title of the 50 acres that form the trench. So for 3 years, we've owned it. And I'll tell you, we're not a private business, nor should we be. But anyone that has any development experience will tell you that if you convinced your boss to buy 50 acres with a development plan in mind, and 3 years later you still didn't have a plan for people to look at, you'd be in big trouble. So there's a reason government moves more slowly and needs to be deliberative and take into account every stakeholder's viewpoint, and that's as it should be. And it's time to get going. So I'm going to increasingly ask my colleagues to move the 710 project along. Let's figure out what our vision is and let's do it. Life is a depreciable asset, and every 3-year period that goes by are 3 years of enjoyment and perhaps residences, housing, businesses that will generate economic benefits and activity and jobs for our community. So let's get after that project. The Colorado Street Bridge is another project that I know this room cares deeply about, as we do. And we've got now some mock-ups of the latest 2 options for that. I urge everyone to participate in the outreach, and I know WPRA is paying close attention to this issue. It's time too to get that going and remove the chain link fence and get back to this historic bridge, which we'll all enjoy on July 19 with the bridge party coming back. There are a number of other projects I could talk about, but mostly I'm here to just express gratitude and fellowship with you, and we're going to accomplish some remarkable things in this coming year. And again, I am deeply grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next, we have Dr. Yarma Velazquez, who is the West Pasadena District Representative for the Pasadena Unified School Board, if she is still here. There you are.
Hi, neighbors. Today is the happiest day of the year because it's the last day of school. So all through Pasadena, we had celebrations and potlucks and parties, but also tears. My own daughter moved from elementary to middle school, so so it was a happy day. It is a happy day. Today, we also had at 2 p.m. earlier today, we had the John Muir graduation. And the valedictorian outstanding student. She graduated with 4 AAs, and it's en route to an Ivy League. But she reminded us and took a pause in her speech to acknowledge all the students that, like her, lost the house in the Eaton fires. And the number of students, the number of teachers, the number of staff that were impacted by the fires at PUSD is significant. We are very grateful for the partnership with the city to really make sure that our students came back to school as soon as possible. We invested a significant number of resources in making sure that our schools were clean, safe for learning, and to receive all of our students and to give them a sense of normality. That was our priority throughout the whole situation. And we've done extensive testing in all of our schools to make sure that not just the ones that are close to the fire, but all of the schools in Pasadena Unified are safe for our students. We are ready to continue to work through the challenges that this crisis will most definitely have on the school district. And we're ready to face them with the same courage that the kids that are in all of our classrooms have had to endure, and the strength that they've had to show. But nevertheless, there are some clear challenges ahead. We were lucky to count with your support because last November we were able to pass a bond and a parcel, and we were ready to start the renovations of the much needed renovations in so many of our campuses. However, those spaces that we were preparing with love and care for our students are now being occupied by all of the displaced schools. And so we're delayed, but we're moving forward. We're working in the spaces, and if you have the opportunity to visit Allendale, which is right across the street from Blair, that school is now hosting Pasadena Elementary, and it's full of students and life and kids and playfulness in a school that was over 50% impacted. So 50% of our students at that current school lost their homes. So we're reminded that we work with children, and we have to be spaces of joy and opportunity. And that will continue to be our priority. And we're grateful for all of the support from both the city and all of the agencies in reminding us and everybody that our primary mission, above everything else, is to ensure that we continue to push for the best educational outcomes for our students. And everything else that we do in community, we're appreciative of it, and we're happy to collaborate as it supports education and students and learning. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Yarma, and thank you to all of our speakers. Now, many of you got index cards when you came in. Those index cards are for you to write your questions on, and I'll talk a little bit more about them later. So don't discard them, don't turn them into paper airplanes, don't bother your neighbor with them, they may come in useful. So now on to a short business portion of our meeting, the annual election of the WPRA directors or board members. The nominee slate was mailed to all of you last month. It's also on the back of your program. So as I read the nominees' names, if they are here, will they please stand up? Dan Beal, Dave Bice, Dave is in back, Gretchen Brixson, Annette Bull, please remain standing, Blaine Kavanaugh, here, Nina Chomsky was here but had to leave earlier, Evan Davis, Evan came down with COVID earlier this week. Jackie English, Pete Ewing, Mick Hansen, Joan Hurst. Chuck Hudson is working with us remotely in Las Vegas. Carlos Javalera, Susan Kinney, Mark Mastromateo, Ann Scheid, Lynn Sullivan, and Lee Wallace. The nominees may be seated. Are there any nominees from the floor? Hearing none, will all those in favor of electing the nominees as presented to be directors of the WPRA please raise their hand? Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. We have a board. Please welcome our new board members. Now, about those Q&A cards. Those cards are for you to write questions down and turn them in. It's unlikely that we will have time for many of those questions to be answered tonight. So we will do what we did with last year's meeting, in which we took the questions, got detailed answers, and included the questions and the answers both in our website and in the next issue of the WPRA News. So don't worry about the question not being answered. If we have time, we'll get to some of them. But please help us by writing down the questions that are important to you. When you write them down, after you've written them, or if you don't have a card, raise your hand, hold your card up, and someone will bring a card around if you don't have one, or pick your card up. And that will happen throughout the evening. So raise it and give them time to get to you. The WPRA also believes that significant contributions to our community deserve recognition. And so we present WPRA Community Service Awards to those who have made such contributions. Tonight we have 2 Community Service Awards to present. I think Linda Zinn is here. If Linda's here, could she please come forward? Linda is not here. Well, Linda's going to miss her big chance to get applause from you unless she watches the repeat of the film on this. But even though Linda is not here, she still deserves an award because Linda has been a dedicated member of our board for over 18 years. Most of that time, she has served as membership chair, which means she's the one that receives your membership forms and checks, which you so graciously provide. And there's a lot more to this than just putting the checks in the bank. They get calculated, they get checked against the membership forms. But she has done that essentially without error. I know because I'm the treasurer and I get the checks eventually. She's done that without error for almost 18 years. So for that dedication, that wisdom that she has provided to our board and through the board to the community, we are pleased to award a WPRA Community Service Award to Linda Zinn. It looks like this. Linda, congratulations. The January wildfires devastated much of the larger community with enormous and tragic impact on Altadena. Comparatively, there was much less damage in Pasadena. This is due to many factors, but the efforts of the Pasadena Fire Department made a truly significant difference in their response on January 7th and continuing, in the planning undertaken before and now continuing, and in promoting fire safety throughout the city. I'd like Deputy Chief Tim Sell to step forward, and Pete, if you could join me. As a Deputy Chief, the WPRA is pleased to present the Pasadena Fire Department with a WPRA Community Service Award in recognition of the department's efforts before, during, and after, and continuing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And now don't go away, Pete. Now it's time to hear from the president of the WPRA, Pete Ewing. Pete?
Well, I'm glad everyone's here. Good to see everybody again. Some I haven't seen for a year. Normally I'm up here beating the podium and hollering about the 710 and so forth. And so I've got some good news for you. I'm not going to be hollering about the 710 tonight. Be talking about it, but not hollering about it. But just some things that you see kind of the eyes of the WPRA, what we're seeing right now. And Steve had mentioned the duration of the, since the ditch had been released to the city, 3 years. That's a long time, and I agree with him. That wouldn't fly in the business world. But I think from our eyes, we do see some progress planning. It's slow and it's not even close to being what we need yet, but it's on its way. But we are excited. I'm excited about the creation of the new Standing Committee of Mobility and Land Use. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But in terms of land use, a little bit of history from WPRA. We started the 710 action really in earnest with the Connecting Pasadena project. It goes back 10 years ago almost. We all know the 60-year history of the ditch and so forth, and all the stuff we had to put up with it. But this really led to our involvement in the Connecting Pasadena project in 2017 with citywide effect. And the development of this is really led by 3 experts of national reputation that helped create the plan, all of which have deep experience in the project. But the end result was the project was completed. They had consensus of all of the participants, about 200 of which, and they're all throughout the city of Pasadena. I think the point is that we had representation from the entire city, and it was created by representatives from the whole city. Now about the Standing Committee, the little editorial, after 60 years of suffering from all the things we've suffered from in the 710 ditch, the de facto freeways, empty houses from Caltrans, closed streets, all that kind of stuff. The good news is the committee's being formed now, and we can kind of get something going. It's a subcommittee of the main committee, but dedicated to land use and mobility. The reason I stress that is that both mobility and land use really are the critical building blocks on the planning for the 710. And those have to be dealt with. Those should have been dealt with 2 years ago, but we've been delayed. And it's moving slowly, but it's not there yet. Anyway, until now, there has been no group that's represented the citizens of West Pasadena. The flow of information would go from the city to the planning department, to the master planner, Perkins Eastman, and no input from the city at all. So the good news is the committee is now going to be involved in that. We can talk to the city, they can talk to the planning department as much as they want to, and we can start getting some progress for West Pasadena. One of the issues we always have with this is that we always want to get in and see the planners early, because if the planners get off on a wrong foot, it just goes, it won't get corrected later, and that's what we're worried about. Terribly worried about. Let's see. Been very little involvement from the residents in the last 2 years. It's very frustrating. far as Sherry, we're anxious to get involved and move forward on this thing. Share some of the contemporary ideas we've had in the building blocks I talked about, such as new urbanism. It's an experience we learned from CPP. It also, pardon me, it's also evolved from the many highways and many highways removed and remediated from taking place globally. I'm sorry, I got asthma in here. It's killing me. Anyway, it's a big step forward, and we're happy about it. As far as some of the issues that really need to be dealt with, excuse me, is removing 710 ramps. That's going to be an issue, but it has to be done. There's no point in really doing this if the ramps aren't on. Building a multi-deck structure within the ditch, that would improve the economics as well as allow the streets to be reconnected again. And that came from one of our board members. He said he saw it in Oslo and it was really impressive. But again, today there's been only input from the city to the consultants. Standing committee will change that. We're glad about that. They can use the planning department. All positive, but to be proactive in managing the master planner, we need to make sure that they're planning what we need, not for what they think we need, and that's hopefully will be heard by them. Anyway, Blaine. Oh.
Thank you, Pete. Now we shift to tonight's theme program, Protecting Life and Property from Wildfires. Remember those Q&A cards, write your questions, hold them to get picked up. Now please welcome Jay Lopez, Executive Director of the California Wildfire Mitigation Program Authority, who will guide the rest of tonight's program. Jay?
Good afternoon, evening. It's that time of day. Jay Lopez, I'm with the California Wildfire Mitigation Program, which is a joint powers authority between CAL FIRE and Cal OES, the Office of Emergency Services. And we're trying to decipher and make home hardening something that everybody can do. So right now you go to John and Betty, they are 75 years old, and you're going to tell them, go ahead and harden your home, and they're going to say, what is that, and how do I do it, or where do I start? Or John and Betty, they are 25 years old, and they just bought a new house, and you tell them, go ahead and harden your home. How's that going to happen? So we're working on that, and we'll have a report for the legislature next year to present, and it'll be available for everybody to understand better home hardening and all the trials and tribulations that you can go through. And home hardening includes the management of your vegetation around your home. And another part that I do is also appointed by the governor to the Board of Forestry and Fire Protection. The Board of Forestry oversees CAL FIRE, forestry and fire protection activities in the state, and therefore all the fire departments that work together in the state. So it's a great honor to be part of that. And we did a project for you about 2 years ago. A friend of mine and I did an assessment of your canyon, which, by the way, is also is part of mine because I'm a Pasadena resident. So very proud to be here. So we did an assessment of the canyon of the fire hazard, but also what it can be done. That got turned in and has become kind of the stepping stone to all these efforts that you see today. So I was invited to put a group together of very good speakers that I would love to them to start making their way up, especially, and we can start with the program. So the first speaker will be I have the honor to introduce you to the Deputy Insurance Commissioner, who is our keynote speaker tonight for the California Department of Insurance, Ms. Julia Juarez, who is a very busy person. I'm so glad that you made the time to come here today. And the microphone is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today and taking valuable family time away to come here and learn about what is happening with insurance. What can you do, and what is the department doing, and what can we do to help and be a partner with you? So I am delighted to be here. My name is Julia Juarez, and I would like to start my presentation. Bear with us for a quick second. We will be right. It is. Oh, what am I pressing the wrong one? There we go. Okay. I may not be in the right place. I may just have to. Or behind me. Okay, well, I just want to give you just a quick update of what we have been doing at the department, helping the fire victims that are your neighbors that we are here. So we have very much so far, we have had about 28,000 claims and more than $12 billion that insurance companies have already paid out. However, we do know that there is a lot more work that needs to be done with this, and we continue to work with consumers on that. We have been making absolutely sure that we update that information on our website so people know exactly what is going on there. But we also want to, as we are working with homeowners, we want to make sure that they know that the Department of Insurance is standing with them and can help. What does that mean for you? For you, if you are not necessarily one of the homes that was affected, because you are in an area that is close to the fires, you are part of a moratorium. So for 1 year, the insurance companies are not allowed to drop you in any way, shape, or form. So you will continue to have coverage through the year, at least. But of course, we're doing more than that. And we also have requested that any insurance companies that had already started doing any type of cancellations or non-renewals, that those had to be stopped. So that is a quick a quick update for you there. There we go. What are we continuing to do? We're continuing to work locally. We have the Department of Insurance has about 300 officers, sworn police officers, who are working locally with our fire victims, making absolutely sure that there is no fraud, or helping to prevent fraud. Since 2019, we've been working with the district attorney's offices statewide to make absolutely sure that if there is any type of organization, any type of organized crime, or any way, or groups that are trying to defraud you in any way, that we are actually coming after them. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware, and if you happen to be contacted by someone and you think that there is something fishy, let us know, because we are there to take a look at all of that. We have, let me just, I want to set the stage and discuss exactly what is going on with insurance. I know that most of you know, and you hear, we are in the middle of an insurance crisis. What does that mean? Well, ultimately what that means is that we have more than 100 insurance companies in the state that sell insurance. But the top 12 companies actually do about 85% of the entire business in the state. So when those companies are, having an issue with the market, then it brings the unbalance, to everyone there. So even though they, even though we have 100 companies, about 12 of those insurance companies, most of them have paused with their new policies, selling new policies, even though they may be asking for rate increases and are continuing to do that, they are still, there has been just a crisis built in because of that. Along with, of course, all of the different issues that are happening just worldwide. Further than that, the FAIR plan, which is the insurance of last resort, has increased to about 4% in the entire market, which the FAIR plan was created to be the absolute insurance of last resort. It was created so that you can be in it for maybe 2 months or so while you look for insurance and be able to get out of there right away. It only covers fire. It doesn't cover any other peril, so you still have to buy another insurance policy along with that. So it is not ideal. It is not what you want to be in. However, unfortunately, in many parts of the state, and maybe some of you already are with a FAIR plan, that is the only insurance that is available. So we are working to try to change that as well. And then, of course, insurance companies just don't want to have all of that risk. So that is the entire thing there. So what did we do? What the commissioner did was he brought over all of the agencies that work with fire safety and said, let's put together very specific things that consumers can do to bring down that risk, because insurance companies are very much just saying, they just don't want all of that risk. What can you do and build very specific things? So 6 things that you can do. And so here they are. You can also find that, and I'm sure you're going to hear from them. But basically, take care of your individual home just to make sure that you have very specific things there that you can do. Then your immediate surroundings. This is called our Safer from Wildfires framework. And so what that is looking at your individual home, making sure that your immediate surroundings are safe as well, are clean. So there's very specific things there too that you can do to make sure that that is the case. And then the last part of that is, protecting your entire community. Because what happens when you don't, when you are safe and you do everything that you can, but if your neighbor down the street has, a lot of vegetation out there, then it's dead, and an ember hits it, then the entire place can catch fire. So what this is really building communities that you can look out for each other, and maybe there is something there that you can do to help mitigate that home as well. But besides that, it also allows you to, if you become a fire-wise community or a fire-safe council, what you can do is also apply for grants, apply for funding that then can come and help you with those specific things. We have had people who have been able to buy some of the vents for everyone in the community, or do chipping programs where everybody can bring all of their excess wood and be able to get rid of all of that, or even get goats together in those areas to clean that up. So there's all these different types of programs that you can do. And the really wonderful thing about that is that it only takes about 8 homes, 8 people to get together and create a fire-wise community or create a fire-safe community. And you can get this done. And I'm sure you're going to hear about it a little bit more. But if you have those things, then what the commissioner has done is made sure that then those people that do those things, when you go back to your insurance company, that you are able to get some type of discount for that. So what we have done is, particularly if you are in the FAIR plan is already giving you those discounts of about 15%, 15 to 20%, it can go all the way up to that. But if you don't have that, if the FAIR plan is not giving those to you, that is what the Department of Insurance is there for. You can give us a call, we can get in touch with a FAIR plan, and we can make sure that that happens for you. Along with that, when Commissioner Lara came on board in 2019, the FAIR plan was only offering up to $3 million for HOAs, just to be able to cover that. That's not even enough for, some homes in some of the areas in the state. So now we are actually at $20 million for HOAs. But we also realize that in some areas, their $20 million is also not enough. And so this year, that has actually, we have actually gotten that to be $20 million per building, and up to $100 million available for insurance there. So you have that available. And then your wildfire risk score. In the past, insurance companies will tell you, your wildfire risk score is too high, and so we're going to drop you. Well, when you ask them, well, how do I know what my wildfire risk score is, and how did you get to that number, and tell me more information, they would say, that's proprietary information. So you wouldn't be able to do anything about it anyway. So now, because of this new rules that Commissioner Lara made, insurance companies must tell you what your wildfire risk score is and why. And now you have the opportunity to review that and then come back to the insurance companies and say, no, because I have done all of these things, or you are able to fight that. And we're able to work with you to make sure that insurance companies take everything that you do into account. What we are doing besides that, we know that that's not, that doesn't necessarily, fix the whole problem. So what we are doing, Commissioner Lara started the sustainable insurance strategy. And what that is we have improved our application process so that we can get, when insurance companies come in and they give us information, they want to know, they want to make sure that their applications for rates are done. We actually improved our process to make sure that we get all of that taken care of on a timely manner. We introduced risk management tools with the catastrophe modeling and reinsurance costs. What does that mean? Catastrophe modeling is basically, in California, in the past, we only allowed, we would only look at historic numbers of how much you can charge, looking at how much have you lost in the last 10 years. But that everywhere else in the country, they were actually looking at models that gave a lot more detailed information. So because we have the Safer from Wildfires framework, and we know that people are doing their best to mitigate their homes, then now we are going to be allowing insurance companies to use catastrophe models, because then they'll be able to look at a community and be more direct and more specific and be able to charge exactly what the risk is. Whereas in the past, they didn't really do that. So now we're going to be able to make sure that they don't just say these entire zip codes are too risky, we don't want to have anything to do with that, but rather it is, it's going to be a lot more specific. So that is what we're doing with that. Reinsurance cost is basically insurance for insurance companies. And so insurance companies were saying, we can't really tell how much we're going to be spending if we don't account for reinsurance as well. And California was also one of the only states in the country. And mind you, California is the biggest insurance market in the entire United States. We are only second to China in the entire world. That means that everybody is doing business in California. They want to do business in California. We just need to make absolutely sure that the business that they're doing is not discriminatory or too excessive, and that they are able to provide the services that you need to be able to pay out your claims. So we're modernizing the FAIR Plan, making absolutely sure that that is available, and that they're able to pay their claims. And we are also doing intervenor reform. In California, we have a system where intervenors can come in and say, we don't want to have these increases, and they can stop the entire process for an insurance company for years, and we are not able to move anything along. And so that's why we're in this big mess right now, because we haven't really kept up with what it is that is needed to be able to cover the insurance costs for communities. All of this is fine, but what does that mean for you, right? What does this mean for you? What this means for you is that Commissioner said, you are able to use all of these things, insurance companies, but you absolutely have to then write new policies and more policies in these communities that have a fire, high fire severity zones. So from now on, if you are going to use all of these things, you must write 85% of those entire communities. So that is the new thing that we are doing here. And that has been something that we set up, we worked on, the legislation, not the legislation, excuse me, the regulations, all of that throughout all of last year, and we're moving all of that forward. All of these things have been the things that we have already accomplished to date. We're already moving everything around. The regulations have already been done. We are now looking at we're completing our catastrophe modeling regulations, and we're working with experts to make sure that all of that is taken care of. And by the end of this month, we are expected to then be completely up and running. The Department of Insurance is already in place to move everything along. For the catastrophe modeling, what we're looking at is high and very high fire hazard categories. So looking at very specific, the CAL FIRE maps, where are those areas? And you saw some of your maps, and you do have some areas that are absolutely very high. So we are also looking at insurance companies must then write not only in those areas, but they have to have if we have people that are on the FAIR plan, they must work to depopulate the FAIR plan. The expectation is we need to have all of these people, everyone, in the regular market. And so that's what we're doing with this as well. And so we're making sure that they're able to do that. So these are all the different things that we're making sure that we are able to get so that insurance companies will be able to write in those areas again. So looking at this, you can see where the areas, the higher risk and the lower concentration of the FAIR plan are. Los Angeles County is not, it's kind of scattered here and there. However, all of these different communities are going to be evaluated, locally. And so for you, because we have had all of these different fires that are close by, it's very much so one of those areas that will be then insurance companies will be looking at. And what you need to do is make sure that your home is as safe as it possibly can be, so then insurance companies will come back and fight for your business. And so ultimately, that's what's gonna get everybody here. People ask all the time, yeah, you're just asking insurance companies to do that. How are you gonna make absolutely sure that they do? And so just wanna make sure that we have tools to be able to make sure that insurance companies follow through and get that done. Want to also share with you, Commissioner is also working on legislation, sponsoring 10 pieces of legislation that is very specific to all of this. And here's just general information about all of them, but one of the big things that I do want you to know about is the one where is the California Safe Homes Act. And what we're trying to do is actually make about $10,000 available for grant money for homeowners to be able to use that money to make your homes, to mitigate your homes, to make your homes safer. So we're continuing to work on this. This is not something that happens overnight, but it is something that we can work together to make sure that the insurance market is strong and that you are covered, that you are safe. So there's a lot more detail on this. I don't have too much time, so I'm not going to go into each one of these bills, but I do want to make sure that you know that they're here, and I will make sure that the information is available to you as well in the future. We have a partnership initiative, and what that is if you are part of an organization, you want to share information with your local, your community. We give information to them every month. Just this is what's happening. These are the things that you can do to get involved, and so we want to make sure that you're familiar with that. We also have a local climate planning hub, and what we're doing is we put together webinars for local communities, local groups who want to learn about what can we do locally to make ourselves safer, to make ourselves know what we need to do to make sure that the climate change disasters are not devastating for our community. So those are the types of things. This is our phone number. I know that it's an 800 number, and 800 numbers give people anxiety. I know that. However, I do want you to know, we have people on the phone during business hours that are absolutely available to you and can speak to you in any language and can talk to you about every single type of insurance that you have. They can review your policy with you. They can check with you to see if there are any issues and give you advice on what how to get the most that you need from your insurance company. But then also, if you are having any type of issue, we are your consumer advocate. So when you are dealing with the insurance company and the insurance company is giving you a hard time regardless of what it is, you give us a call and we are able to then contact them directly and make sure that your whatever issue that you're dealing with is actually taken care of in a timely manner. So with that, I will give it to our next presenter. Thank you all very, very much, and I'm going to be available for questions.
Merci, mademoiselle. You said every language, so. So when we started putting all this together for you is to give you solutions, and some of the items that are happening right now, and insurance is one of them. But the Deputy Insurance Commissioner, she mentioned some of the stuff that you can do around your home, but why you have to do those stuff. So for that, we have O.P. Almaraz. He's the CEO of Allied Disaster Defense Incorporated, and he will do a presentation on many things that we can do. O.P.?
Thank you, Jay.
You want to do it yourself? Forward, backwards? Just point it to me.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. J. Lopez. I'll ask a question. You don't have to answer this, but have you ever felt gripped by the fear of uncertainty ever? And I'm talking about uncertainty where you have no idea what's about to happen. You have no clue and you have no power about what's coming your way. And so that happened to me in 2020. And when I was evacuated from the Blue Ridge fire near Chino Hills, California. And so the next morning, I'm coming down the elevator and the doors open up and it's absolute chaos. Shoulder to shoulder, people are screaming, some people are crying, and all I hear is phones ringing, phones buzzing, and people talking about, I don't know if my home's gonna survive. I don't know if the fire department's at my house or not, and there's massive uncertainty. And by the time I walked outside, it hit me like this was my uncertainty moment, because I too had no idea if my home was gonna survive or not. No idea. And I felt a bit of shame actually, because I'm a fire disaster restoration contractor, okay? I help homeowners after the fire. And I realized this is what my homeowners have been going through for years as a prequel to me getting involved. And at that moment I thought, okay, I've got to now figure out how to help people and myself how to have less anxiety and be more prepared so I don't have to be uncertain about if my home has a better fighting chance to survive or not. And today I'm going to give you a condensed version of a story from Rich Snyder. And so when I started Allied Disaster Defense, I've been in the disaster restoration business for 30 years. And in 2020, I said, I'm on a mission. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to help people as much as I possibly can. And in my discovery, I ran into Captain Rich Snyder, who is now formerly retired fire captain of Sierra Madre, not too far from here. And with his passion, over 30 years of experience, he and I put together a program that aligns with the insurance company communities as to what needs to happen to harden homes, what needs to happen to better prepare your properties for wildfire that is going to be coming and approaching, because we can no longer ignore it. It's going to be part of our ecosystem for a long time. And so we have to really face the facts of what happened. So when Rich and I got together, we put this program together, but he recently experienced devastating situations at his own home because he lives here in Pasadena. And so here we are, January 7th. A lot of you, if you were here, you remember that night, and you remember what's going on and what's taking place. And so with Rich Snyder, oh, there we go. So here's where the fire took place, near Highland Search in the hills, okay? And as you can see, this trajectory was going right to Rich Snyder's neighborhood in yellow, okay? Now, at this time, my crews, we have former firefighters that work for us, and they spray fire retardant on vegetation to prevent ignitions. The same retardant that comes out of the airplanes, but it's clear. But we're over in the Palisades right now at this point. Rich calls me and says, OP, we are now on fire too. So my crew heads over there, and within an hour and a half, Rich Snyder's neighborhood, he lives there, blocks away, he has ignitions, homes and vegetation on fire. And so at this point, I hear him, he's frantic. And this is a 30-year experienced firefighter really losing his mind going, OP, I've never seen anything like this. It's getting closer and closer to us. And so within hours after that, here's what's taking place. These homes are now vulnerable. These are his neighbors. And so now there's an ignition on his block, okay? And when that happens, this is getting larger and larger. Now the heat flux and the embers are heading in his direction on his street. And this is what we found when the firefighters showed up. This is what's happening, is the neighbors' homes are on fire. And my crews are there trying to spray fire retardant, do whatever they can. But the radiant heat alone was so powerful. It's invisible, but it's so very powerful and painful. So they did the best they could to help the community as best they can in that time. And so there we are trying to spray. You see the embers? And this is, what I love about this is that I don't have to preach anymore of what embers look like. You've all seen the embers on television. They are flying around and they are making our homes very, very vulnerable. So this is what ended up taking place. When it was all said and done, Rich's neighborhood's on fire, and so this is not his neighborhood, okay? But this was Rich's neighborhood here. His house made it, but you can see there's neighbors around him that did not, okay? This next photo is an example of 10 homes burnt through this fire, okay? 10 lots here. Now I want you to think, ooh, did we just lose? There we go. NFPA 1710 says that for every house fire, you should have 3 fire trucks, okay? And 15 firefighters per home. How are we gonna get 30 fire trucks on this street? How are we gonna get 150 firefighters here? Not going to happen. I don't care what city we live in, it is not possible. And so what happens here, my friends, is suppression is not the answer. Prevention is the answer. And it starts with our own home. We have to be able to use these strategies to protect our homes ourselves. And so there are 3 ways that your home can ignite, okay? It's direct flame contact, right up against your home. It is radiant heat. And if you've ever been to a campfire and you got too close, you know, okay, I'm too close. And it's not because the flame's touching you, it's because the radiant heat is telling you, stand back, you're about to get burned. Radiant heat is powerful, invisible, and it will burn a house down. Then you have ember attacks. These are the 3 standard ways that your house will be taken down by a wildfire. And so we have to protect ourselves just from these 3 things. If we start with that mentality and just understand that these are the enemies of what's gonna attack a property, then we're in a good place. Here's an example. So IBHS is the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, and they do a lot of research in figuring out what has been taking homes down for years. And this is a research company that not only wildfire, but they work in tornadoes and hurricanes, so it's a massive undertaking of research. Here's an example. On the left side is a standard home. You have vegetation near the home, you have a wood fence, and you have bark mulch on the floor. Okay, very common, especially out through our neighborhoods here. On the right side is another home, but you see that the fence there is wrought iron. There's no wood fence touching the home. Except also on the bottom there, the 5 feet is not bark mulch. That's stone or rock or something different, but it's not bark mulch, okay? And so what happens in a moment, so here you have an example of embers touching the bark mulch, okay? Just watch what takes place in a matter of moments. And this is in high speed, but it gives you an idea of what's taking place. You have the bark mulch is very low, but you have what's called ladder fuel, and so it ignites the fence, and then it ignites the shrubs, and then it moves its way all the way up. And as you look over to the right, the fire is already out. Nothing's happening over there. All the activity is over on the left side. So there are ways that we can protect our homes. And it's really by following some of the recommendations that we're going to give you here in a moment. And you've already probably heard home hardening, and we talked about, the insurance commissioners doing some really amazing things to help homeowners out, but we have to be the first ones to step up and do some of this work. Here's another vulnerability that we all have, is the vents. You see these vents all over the areas, and here's an example of a home that there's no vegetation on fire, and it's from the attic that's burning. So from the roof down, this house is burning because the embers have attacked the vents. And all of our vents are vulnerable. And so when the commissioner is talking about, hey, we want to be able to give you guys grants to help you, we should be applauding that because we need help to be able to take care of this work. And so doing this type of work here, here's an example of retrofit vents to be installed in your home. Okay, we have to be able to prevent our ventilation in our attics from catching fire from embers. These vents have been approved by California to resist embers to come in the home. IBHS, Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, has also talked about, on the left side, you see a standard home with vegetation around the perimeter of 5 feet. On the right side, you see the future of what's going to be done, which is 0 to 5, no vegetation. The vegetation around your home and the combustibles around your home, especially the first 5 feet, are the most vulnerable to your property. So consider that when you go home, take a look and say, okay, what do I have here? Do I really need it here? And how can I make it harder? And so you can take a photo of this here. This is the wildfire prepared home. IBHS has put together a standard that says if you do these things, they can give you a certificate that says your home is wildfire prepared. Then we can give that to the insurance companies and say, hey guys, check this out. Here's our report card. We've done our homework and we've done the work. Please take care of me. And what happens with the insurance carriers is if you've done something to your home, they're going to put you closer to the top of the list, my friends. If you do nothing, they're going to just see you as a standard person. But if you're going to make the investment, you're going to catch the eyes of the underwriters that are going to say, okay, let's put these people on the top of the list because they're doing something to help prevent fire damage. These are just some of the guides that we do. We do the wildfire assessments, ember-resistant vents, vegetation management. We spray fire retardant. If you have a pool, you can invest in a pool pump as well. Sample of a report. Every home should have your own individual wildfire report because every home is unique and every home is different. And I'll end with this, my friends. You end up with a report that says, these are the areas that are most vulnerable to your property. And then from there, we leave you with, here's what you can do. You can do it yourself as a DIY, or you can hire someone else to do it. These are some barcodes as I excuse myself here. Please take a picture. These barcodes are filled with information. The middle one is podcast, All Things Wildfire podcast. We've had insurance professionals there talking about specifically wildfire. We've had other firefighters on board also talking about what best practices are. And then on the last one is the resource link that has some of these videos that I've just shown you are in there, so you can share them with your friends and with your neighbors to say, we need to be better about working together as a community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate it. So a little thing that happens with wildfires. So I do have a house in Pasadena. It's right next to El Prado Canyon. The Eden fire got to the next development next to mine, Lavinia, and burned about 20 homes in there. My home wasn't touched, but in 2009, the a station fire came to the backyard of my house. You gotta practice what you preach. So my home is a wildfire prepared home. My insurance company was just about to let me go and drop me. But when I got that wildfire prepared home certification, all that conversation stopped. So I have a normal carrier that is, when I think it's a lot cheaper, it's not really cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than having the FAIR plan. And somebody says there's nothing fair about the FAIR plan, but it's a certificate that had helped me hold on to that insurance. It had my home attractive for the insurance companies to come and look at it. I was in FAIR plan and was able, for the work that I did, I was able to get myself out of FAIR plan into a carrier, normal carrier, or admitted carrier in California. And now I'm working on getting the Safer from Wildfire discounts. That's gonna be my next time. And then our community have to work to be a fire-wise community. Saying that, Beth, you be so kind. OP gave you what you can do with your home, but also what you can do all together. And for that, the National Firewise program is a great way to achieve that. So Beth Burnham, she's the original coordinator for Firewise USA in California. Beth? It's yours.
Going the wrong way. So, hi everyone, I'm Beth Burnham, and I'm really thrilled to be here. And Jay, thank you very much. Jay is my original mentor. I have been as a community organizer in the wildfire preparedness space for 15 or so years now, and I'm no different than any of you guys sitting out there. I was a business person, I retired, I moved to Topanga Canyon, and I decided that I needed to organize my own community to become wildfire prepared. And so I really thank you, Jay, for all you've brought to my life and for all I brought to so many, many people's life. So the focus, for my focus now is actually in the Eastern Sierra. I am the wildfire regional coordinator for Mono and Inyo County, and I'm thrilled to tell you that in the back I have my friend and colleague, Gabe Albarian, and he is the equivalent that I do for the Eastern Sierra, he does in LA County and in Ventura County. And so we are all volunteers. We do this out of passion and care to help all of our communities become more wildfire prepared. So the question I really wanted to focus on is why and how to organize your community for wildfire resilience. OP really talked about what you can do, and I often talk about those particular things, but learning how you can do it, you could hire OP and he would help take your house through it. You could learn it yourself, which is a really long, hard journey, or you could organize as a community and become a FireWise community and work together to learn how to harden your homes, because it's at a community level that it really makes a difference. We just finished in May Wildfire Preparedness Week or month, depending upon where you live, and CAL FIRE really had some important messages that they asked all of us organizers to communicate. And the first one was the role of personal responsibility, that wildfire preparedness starts with your individual actions, and that you should feel empowered because there are plenty of tools and resources out there to help you to go through the process. You're not alone. And that it is in community that you make the biggest difference. And finally, that this is a year-round process. It's not something you do in the spring or once a year in the fall or once a lifetime. You're doing it continuously, and you really get down into a maintenance mode. So this photograph, which you can barely see, has got a house that withstood the firestorm in January, and that's while its neighbor's house burned to the ground. And this is my first experience of wildfire. I was 5 years old, and this is a photograph of my mother running out of our house during the Bel Air fire in 1961. The man behind her was a neighbor whose house had just burned down, and he was checking to make sure she was either had evacuated or was doing it. This fire was a major fire in its time. Burned 6,000 acres, 484 homes were destroyed, and it's a drop in the bucket to what we experience today. Right now, the top 20 fires, either by acreage or by destruction of homes in California, 13 to 15 of them, on both of those criteria, have occurred in the last decade. Okay, the top 20 fires, 13 to 15 of the worst of the top 20 have occurred this decade. All but 1 or 2 have occurred this century. We got to change how we do what we do. But yet, these are the resources we've got. And these are the same resources that we've had for a long time. And our fire departments work incredibly hard and with incredible quantities of resources. You've got helicopters, you've got planes dropping phos-check, you've got the guys on the ground, and you've got heavy equipment. Those are our tools. And despite everything that they are doing, and they are doing everything possible, this is what we get. This is Pasadena. The devastation is just overwhelming, and I know that, I hope there's no one here who lost their home. I know we all know way too many people who lost their homes, and my heart goes out to every single person. And it's clear that all of the resources we have, and in Southern California, we've got more resources than almost any place in the world. They can't stop this from happening. It's happening time and time again. And it's because this is what OP was describing. And this is a chart that was created by Jack Cohen, and Jack Cohen is the creator of the entire science of how homes ignite. He really created the field 50 years ago. 1961, the Bel Air fire. In the late 70s, Jack started asking, why are homes burning? And this is what we all just experienced. And what I'm saying is that we've got to think about something different. We've got to change the way in which we rely on how we are waiting for people to take care of us, that we've got to do it ourselves. And if you really sit down and you look at another photo from Pasadena, it forces us to ask questions. Like, why is that house standing in the front when every single one of its neighbors burned to the ground? Why are so many of the street trees still green? It's hard to see, but those trees are green in that photograph. They didn't burn down. These houses burned down. And that was, the things that OP was talking about are the things that that can help prevent that. But Jack really summarized it. Large wildfires are inevitable. That's exactly what OP was saying. We've got to stop assuming we've got a wildfire problem and realize our problem is a home ignition problem. And we as community members and homeowners, need to learn and take the actions to change our behavior so our homes don't burn down. It's on us. We've already figured out that the model we've been using doesn't work anymore. So how do we proceed? How do we figure our way through this? And that's where FireWise USA steps in. You heard Julia mention it, and FireWise is a national recognition program. It's not a certification, it's softer, of the National Fire Protection Association. NFPA, if any of you guys are contractors, you're well familiar with NFPA. 125-year-old 501c3 that's focused on the prevention of the loss of life and property due to fire. And it has created our building codes. About 25 years ago, they realized they were missing a huge opportunity, which was you and me and community. That 25 years ago, they recognized that we could make the difference on what happens in a fire. And they created NFPA. So it's a national program, and it collaborates with the appropriate fire agency in each state. So at the highest level here in California, it's with CAL FIRE. In Pasadena, Gabe works really closely with the Pasadena Fire Department, and indeed, Pasadena has its very first recognized FireWise community. So congratulations to you guys. But the thing that's important is as a community program, it's a grassroots program. It's your program. It's not the fire department telling you what to do. I call myself a grassroots community organizer. I knock on doors. I set up a table in front of a grocery store and talk about FireWise. That's how I generate awareness and interest. And FireWise is creating the platform where you can learn, but you're not having to do it all yourself. And in that process of learning about wildfire, you can make changes as an individual and as a community, and you can gain peace of mind. And being a wildfire prepared community makes all the difference. And without a doubt, in my years of being in this space, FireWise is the best program to do that process. And it's a simple process. You heard that it takes as few as 8 houses, and in CAL FIRE has decided for California, it doesn't want a FireWise community to be any larger than 500. Nationally, it could be as large as 2,500, but in California, no bigger than 500. I typically work with communities, can be 30, it might be 80, in the Eastern Sierra, isolated pockets. Other places in Mammoth Lakes, it might be an HOA or a community of single-family homes that is defined by sort of natural neighborhood boundaries. So the steps are really simple, 4 of them. In step 1, you organize it. Come together, map your area, come up with a committee, count the number of homes in your community, and identify yourself on the FireWise portal. And then Gabe would get pinged, CAL FIRE will get pinged, Pasadena Fire Department might or might not get pinged. I don't know how well set up it is here. And then you move on to step 2, which has got 2 formal documents in the planet stage. The first one is called a Community Wildfire Risk Assessment. It's a community level look at 12 factors in your community. 8 of them are home hardening, and 4 of them are defensible space. The second document is then an action plan. It's a 3-year action plan. You're never measured against it, but it gives you a focus as a FireWise community to look at how you're going to do it. And then through the third step is really something you're doing throughout, which is gathering your investment in wildfire preparedness activities. That's doing your annual brush clearing. It's deciding to spend money on OP or by yourself to harden your home. All of that money counts. The threshold is really insignificant. 1 hour of work per house in your FireWise community. It's a non-issue. And then ultimately, step 4 is tell FireWise about it, which would be apply, or every year redo the do it step. So people ask me a series of questions that are pretty simple, like what's in it for me? And right now, there's no doubt about it, the insurance discount is driving the creation of FireWise. There's now over 1,100, I heard that number about 3 months ago, so it's probably pushing 1,400 FireWise communities in the state right now. You're gonna learn together what to do to be wildfire prepared. And it might save your house when you do that work. Then secondly, you're already doing a lot of work. Am I asking you to do more? The answer is nope, just report it. And then are we gonna look at individual homes? Nope, it's a community-wide program. It's not an enforcement program, it's an education program. And then the last one is, hey, I don't know anything about wildfire preparedness. And then I would say, hey, this is the perfect program for you. So it's a program which really, really, really gives you framework for action. And it gives you a way to learn about FireWise, and it gives you a voice, a community voice. So if you're dealing with an adjacent property owner, I deal with a lot of Forest Service lands and BLM lands in the Eastern Sierra, they will listen to the voice of a FireWise community with a little bit more interest than the whining neighbor who's always complaining that they don't do what they're supposed to do. And ultimately, it brings you together as community. So, FireWise USA, residents reducing wildfire risk. The tagline really, really, really says it all. Gabe's email address is up there. He's in the back with business cards. Go stop back and see him, and he'll help get you launched. This is just a great program, and it's something which is really easy to implement and can make a huge difference. So, thank you.
Thank you, Beth. And so you're wondering how I know Beth for so many years. I actually worked for Los Angeles County Fire Department for about 34 years. I retired as an assistant chief for the department. I got a chance to work for the Pasadena Fire Department, working on the Arroyo and creating when it was the beginning of the Cajamonga Park in the late 90s, 2000, and help write the fire management plan for the Arroyo. So that was an honor to do that with you. And the idea that we have, we wanted to share with you today, we talk about what can you with your home, but it's the accumulation of ideas. So the next speaker for us is Mr. Daniel Rossman. He's the executive director of the One Arroyo Foundation, because now there's the next layer. We talk about what can be done with your home, but also what is around your home. And there's work being done, and Mr. Rossman can take us through what he has in his mind. Daniel?
Thank you. My name is Daniel Rossman, and as of January, I'm the executive director of the One Arroyo Foundation. I bring 20 years of experience working in conservation advocacy, and this opportunity to shift from working on national, federal policy with the Wilderness Society for the last 16 years and other places, and really working on this place that I love. It is my backyard. I live here in West Pasadena and love the Arroyo. So I want to tell you a little bit about One Arroyo Foundation, who we are. That'll help me explain a bit about what we're doing and what we're up to, but also what is our newly evolving role in this conversation around fire readiness. The One Arroyo Foundation's mission is to preserve, restore, and celebrate the Arroyo Seco. It was established as a result of the Arroyo Advisory Group, chaired by former Mayor Bill Bogard and the late Doug Cranwinkle. They did a series of engagement with community and ultimately recommended this model of a park foundation. This is not a unique solution. The Central Park Conservancy was one place that they looked at as a potential model, but all across the country we're seeing parks that are facing new burdens because of climate change, because of increased populations, and the ability for cities to maintain infrastructure that, in the case of Pasadena, is 100 years old and really significant and historic. There needed to be a way to leverage this public-private partnership and resources that we could help the city achieve its really ambitious vision laid out in the Arroyo Seco Master Plan with millions of dollars of projects. So the One Arroyo Foundation was formed, and it's really critical that not only One Arroyo exists, working to preserve this incredible place, but we've got lots of friends and neighbors and other organizations that really care about the Arroyo, and we all have a really critical piece to play. And it's important because this is really unique habitat. It is a critical habitat for nature to thrive right in the heart of this bustling urban community, which is really impressive. It is a recreation resource that provides hiking opportunities, the first disc golf course in the country. You can learn how to cast a fly on a casting pond, and you can go see the Rose Bowl FIFA games that are coming up. It's a really diverse set of experiences and learning that you can experience here. And there's an incredible cultural significance. Those stone walls that were built with labor in the Depression era, the historic bridges, the fact that Teddy Roosevelt visited this place and said, this is a treasure and it should be protected as a park forever, really adds weight to this idea that the Arroyo is a pretty special place. So how do we do this? Well, we partner with the city. So a park foundation's role is to help support the city in its mission. Working with the city, we've established an MOU to outline our role is to kind of help raise the funds and get the project ready to go forward. And the city is the implementer. They do the construction and build the work. But we're also able to play this role working with community to help convene different organizations and input to really move things forward. And I did not have this on my bingo card when I started in January just before the fires, but part of the community conversation has been this issue of fire. And so I'm gonna get to that in a second, but I do just want to celebrate also our most recent project, the improvements to the linkages around the lower Arroyo and then up by Devil's Gate Dam and the really some fantastic trail work that's been done, and I think a lot of new work on the horizon. This is a list of projects that we have in our sights and are continuing to leverage partnerships and fundraising to try to move forward. These all come from the capital improvement plan of the city, but are ones that we think we might be able to move forward, including continued trail improvements, looking at the historic amphitheater in Brookside Park, as well as many others. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the fire issue. One of the ways we think we can do more is leveraging volunteer programming, and we've already started on this, and there's other groups that do volunteer efforts. My hope is to continue to work with the city, like this cleanup we did. We were out there, we got into the stream bed, removing some trash that's coming down from the freeway, but also city staff's out there doing brush clearance and helping us reduce the buildup of fuel. And then the next thing that we're looking at specifically on fire is this idea of a GOAT program. So this is something I'm excited that we've talked to the city about, and we're going to be I would describe this sort of scoping phase. I've worked with a contractor. Actually, Jay helped me identify a potential contractor. We're going to be meeting with the city and looking at the areas where this makes sense. It's a unique tool, so I'm not kidding. Kidding, get it? Yeah. All right, I got you back. So don't be sheepish about your laughs. So the idea is that they eat brush, and so the most hazardous fuels in terms of starting a wildfire are these, brushy, grassy, oftentimes invasives that grow throughout a wild place, and ghosts love to eat. So we can identify places where it's difficult to get there with the hand crews, and hand crews are out. They finished the east side of the arroyo, and they're working on the west side of the lower arroyo. So brush clearance is happening by hand, but when you start to get in very steep slopes, when you start to get in places that are overgrown with poison oak, that work doesn't get done. So they also do some great things with their hooves to sort of soften up the soil and make it more fertile for natives to come back in. So this is a pilot effort that we're hoping to launch, if not this summer, next summer, but will help sort of demonstrate this proof of concept. And then, I mentioned before, leveraging new opportunities to bring in more people to this process. One of the things that I've really loved about being a Pasadena resident, and this room is an example of it, people are really engaged. They want to get involved, and I think we have a real opportunity to leverage some human capital as well as financial. The last thing that I'll say is we can't do it alone. We need partnerships with other organizations, and we need your help. You can support One Arroyo and our mission by donating, by becoming a member. We have special member events. Our next event later this summer is going to be a tour of the Rose Bowl, but we had a hike earlier in the year. That was fantastic. And then you can also learn about our volunteer programming that we're building out, or our education programming. And you could do all this by visiting Candy in the back, or going to onearroyo.org. I'm going to wrap it up there, but I thank you all for your time and look forward to the Q&A.
Well, thank you, Daniel. We appreciate you for all the great work that you're doing in such a short amount of time. In January 1st, we were celebrating New Year's. So 7 days later, things were totally out of control. And it occurred to me, what would be that when would it happen on New Year's Day? We were talking quite differently but we have a little follow-up questions for you. So I'll start with the Deputy Director or Deputy Commissioner. Ms. Juarez, you talk about insurance companies, but we know that a lot of them are stopped writing in California. And what would it take to get the companies to start writing back here in California?
So as we were talking about the sustainable insurance strategy, is making way for them to be able to do business again and be able to get a lot more opportunities for them to grow. And so that's what we are doing with the sustainable insurance strategy. We are expecting that once insurance companies are able to utilize all the tools that are going to be available to them, they'll be able to actually see exactly what their risk is, and then we'll be able to assess and figure out ways of actually doing more business in the state. I have to tell you, how many of you have heard of Paradise, California? Of course, right? Paradise was the most devastating fire at the beginning of all of this, just a few years ago when Commissioner Lara came on board in 2019. was right after the Paradise Fire, and the devastation was just horrendous. What we have seen is that the communities have worked together and have actually just are rebuilding wisely, fire-wise, and doing everything that they're trying to make sure that is safer. And what we are seeing is actually on the 7th, we were actually celebrating with Mercury Insurance, who was opening big doors in Paradise, opening and doing a lot more business in the state there. And so this is, once communities come together, once we have all of these things together, we are expecting them to be right back.
And a little follow-up questions to that also. We know the insurance prices are going up. Do you expect insurance prices to be stable or hopefully come down?
Yeah. So as you heard me talking, I was talking about availability of insurance. Right now, the big issue is availability because a lot of insurance companies have stopped writing. And so that has been the big, what we are trying to do first. Because once we have then the availability, then they're going to start, looking for new business, and then they're going to start actually, prices will go down at that point. But right now, what we are really focusing on is availability. If you make your home, attractive to the insurance company, they're going to come after you and try to get you to come to do business with them. And how they're going to do business with them, how are you going to do business with them, is if they give you a good price.
Well, you're certainly hoping for that in not so distant future. Mr. Rosman, you talk about what you're planning on doing and all the great work you're doing. Delighted that you're looking at goats as well, very forward-looking. How the West Pasadena Residents Association work with you, or you work with them?
So one of the things that is important is that we work in a way that's open and transparent and work together to identify solutions that we can bring to the city, that the city can move forward, that really balance ensuring we have fire resilience, but also preserve the natural wonder of the arroyo. And I think that there's a lot of nature-based solutions and a lot of conversation about how doing things like species type, getting rid of the invasives that are the most flammable brush and replacing them with perennials. I was at Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy meeting, and the Park Service was presenting on an effort where they're building seed banks to try to replace these grasses that grow really fast and then turn brown. That's all that brown that you see in your lawn or the arroyo that they have to go in and cut. And moving to a year-round cycle where you start masticating with goats early, or hand crews, or having volunteers engaging and removing it before it seeds, and then replacing it with natives that are lasting year-round is a way that you get it more fire resilient and return it to a more natural habitat. And so we're not going to get there without the engagement of citizens and without the conversations that help us identify unique solutions for Pasadena. And we need unique solutions. This is a nationally significant place that is like no other place. And so I think the residents here can engage directly and support directly One Arroyo, but also the other groups that are part of these conversations about the Arroyo, and certainly West Pasadena Residents Association is a group that's been at the table, and we look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you, sir. Highly needed, and again, this is we pile up the solutions one on top of the other one, and management of the canyon is important, and give it to the natural characteristics that we all enjoyed, getting back to them. Beth Burnham, so thank you for sharing your thoughts and 1961 fire. I think you had a neighbor that was a president of the United States at the time. That is a picture of him hosing his roof. Richard Nixon was in that time. How can Firewise work directly with the West Pasadena Resident Association, and vice versa? How can they work directly with you or Gabe that is in the back there?
So you'll be working directly with Gabe, and you just reach out to him and tell him where you live and what you're thinking about doing, and he'll help launch you and pull together some neighbors together. You don't have to have 100% participation. You could draw a polygon, a shape around your neighborhood and say, where are these 50 houses? But it doesn't take everyone being participants. But over time, everyone will start participating and learning. It's a very, very simple program, and it's very effective. And Gabe is your guy.
And Gabe, you have business cards back there, so make sure you see them before you go. Mr. Almaraz, you talk about all the work that you have done in different houses. And by the way, thank you for helping me with my house. I did a lot of the work that I did was during COVID, and Mr. Almaraz came over and provided a lot of support that I was doing. How can Allied Disaster Defense work directly with the West Pasadena Residents Association?
Yeah, I think we're here as a resource for all the residents here. And, if you have a need where you really want to find out what it's going to take for your specific home to make it more wildfire resistant, it starts with a phone call. If you took a picture of the QR codes that were up there, some of those, or one of those, is a direct contact to us. And it starts with a wildfire assessment, and that really gives you a myopic view of your property. And once you have a grocery list of things that you can do, now you can begin to prioritize as to, okay, and this is what I tell homeowners is, and I really want to drive the message home to people, because Jay Lopez has got a wildfire prepared home. I have a wildfire prepared home, and it wasn't fun to rip out all my shrubs and to make it look different. And I thought, okay, now what am I going to do? And it took me a few months to figure out how to make it more attractive. But I tell people, if it's going to cost X amount of dollars, then at least you have a view of, okay, it's going to cost X amount of dollars. Now you make decisions as to, maybe we don't take the vacation next year, and maybe we actually do the work at our property this next coming year. And just some decisions as to what we have to make in our finances to really make that investment, because the insurance carriers will see you to be more attractive if you invest into some of that work. And the Firewise communities, I'll add, if you become a Firewise community, the insurance rates are going to drop at least 5%. That's what we're seeing with Firewise communities. The insurance carriers and underwriters are giving a 5% discount if you're part of a community like that. So like Jay Lopez said, if you stack all of these things, you set yourself up to really win, but it really just means that we've got to get involved and start with our own home first.
Thank you, sir. So it has been our pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for hanging with us, and pass it back to Blaine.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Julia, OP, Beth, and Daniel. Appreciate your time here, and I hope the audience has found it worthwhile. I would love to say that there are a few extra refreshments that those of you who stuck around could take advantage of, but there aren't. So thank you all for staying. Thank you again for supporting the WPRA. Have a very good evening.